Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Wets Bets Show, powered by herhoopsbets.com, where we literally bet on women. Ryan, it's March. How you feel?
Well, Merry Christmas, first and foremost. This is the most exciting day of the year for me personally. But I think we have a fun slate. I think it's going to be a very interesting couple days to get the round started. So excited to get into some picks with you.
Absolutely. So Calvin is not with us today. Calvin was over at CBS Sports Line this morning, where he gave out South Florida money line. Our model had them favored by 2 points, and I think it was plus 100 over at Caesars. So we'll be cheering that on. Plays we gave out yesterday would include me giving out Texas minus 22.5. I also this morning saw the first half line come out. That was 12.5, so I jumped on that. Ryan, you gave out UTA plus 19.5. You got the cosign from Sydney Colson on Twitter today.
Let's go.
So we love to see that. Ryan, were there any other plays that you saw with some of the line movements today for the first round of the tournament?
I think it's worth throwing a few shekels on Florida Gulf Coast. I think that's a pretty popular upset. Might be a strong word, but I think that's going to be a really good game. If you can get a couple points there, it's totally worth it. I think Florida Gulf Coast is a really good team. If they get through this first round, they could end up making a little bit of a run. But I don't love some of Virginia Tech's advanced stats. I think Florida Gulf Coast plays a little bit faster, has a little bit better offense. So if they can do what they need to do on the defensive end of the floor, I think they can win this game outright.
Yeah, I mean, Florida Gulf Coast plays different than probably every team that's in this tournament. They have probably a top 5 pick in the WNBA draft in Kirsten Bell. This team has beaten LSU. They've beaten Michigan State. So, I mean, they can play with anybody. And their style of play definitely will throw a lot of teams off. So they shouldn't be a 12 seed. I think I said the other day, maybe on the show, but I got them at plus 8.5 the line open. I still like it at plus 6.5. The Her Hoop Stats model has it at Virginia Tech winning by, I think, 1.9. So getting a lot of good value here. So I do love that play, and I'll definitely be firing on that as well.
Yeah, one thing worth mentioning that does make me a little bit nervous is their ability to make free throws. I think they are close to the bottom 10%, making like 64% of free throws. If it's a close game, you're relying on them to make free throws to win the game. So if it comes down to the charity stripe, it makes me a little bit nervous, but I still like the way they play. I think they can pull it off.
Absolutely. A play that I want to give out, I'm seeing the line anywhere from plus 1.5 to plus 3.5 on the side that I'm choosing would be South Dakota. South Dakota has a fantastic team. They got some great leadership with some seniors, a lot of girls that have played together. I don't think they're afraid of anybody. They basically rolled through their conference with the exception of South Dakota State, but they did avenge that loss in the final of that tournament. Both those teams, South Dakota and Ole Miss, can put up points, but I think it's going to be more of a chess match. But I think Her Hoop Stats, we do have South Dakota favored, and I think we're getting a lot of points here too as well. So I'm going to be jumping on that at plus 3.5 at Caesars. I know at FanDuel it's plus 2.5. I'll probably sprinkle a little bit on the money line as well.
I like it.
All right, let's jump in for Saturday's picks. Now that we have all the lines up, there's two things that I really do love. We brought it up on the last show. UConn minus 28.5. It's up to minus 30.5. To me, the line is disrespectful still, with all the one seeds basically being favored by at least 30 and UConn not getting that. I think they take care of business. They're playing in stores. It's it should be real nice. The other important news is Tennessee just ruled out Jordan Harrison. So I think Buffalo is at plus 9.5. I cannot find the line right now because I'm in New York and Buffalo's a New York team. So I don't know if you can find that, Ryan, but it was 9.5 when I was looking earlier. So if you can jump on that now, I would. I picked Buffalo in my bracket. I would not be surprised if they were able to pull off a win in this game.
Yeah, I'm still seeing 9.5 on a couple books, so it doesn't look like they've quite adjusted yet. They may or may not. I wouldn't be surprised if it stays at 9.5, and I'm all over that one too.
Yeah, Deja Fair is one of the best guards in the country. She's fearless. And the MAC was a pretty solid conference this year. I mean, like Toledo was great. Ball State looked great. Of course, Buffalo. I mean, that conference is not bad. So I'm pretty high on and Deja Fair nominated for the Becky Hammon Mid-Major Player of the Year award, finalist. So ride with them.
Yeah, she's a baller. That's gonna be a fun game to watch, no doubt about it. Dano, let me ask you about one game that I'm going to sit out because of my bias as a Sooner fan. But there seems to be a lot of action on Ooey Pooey, otherwise known as IUPUI. Any thoughts on that game?
So in my bracket, I have IUPUI advancing to the Sweet 16.
Oh, okay.
So that tells you where I am. I didn't see the line until this morning. Of all the games that were there on Saturday. And when I saw it this morning, it was at plus 7.5, which I think is reasonable. To me, if OU has some incredible wins, they have some games where they really do look like a team that could go to like the Final Four. Like I think about there's a game when they were at Waco, down by 8 after the end of the first quarter, when won the second quarter like 26-8 or something. Like they can really lock in when they have to. Maddie Williams everyone knows how great she is. I think she had 33 points against Baylor in the Big 12 tournament. But I love IUPUI, man.
Yeah.
Macy Williams,
Oklahoma.
Whew.
I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
No, I was saying Macy Williams just another player who is just really hard to prepare for. I think OU kind of does struggle with bigs, and she's a pretty dominant player. So I will put a little bit on the money line, and I'll definitely be taking plus 7.5. I wish it was a little higher. I'd feel better, but I think the books are respecting them.
All that makes sense to me. I mean, Oklahoma is such a run and gun team. That sort of play style is just makes me really nervous for a tournament game. Even if they get through the first round, I mean, they're going to have to play flawlessly game after game just because their defense is atrocious. So I don't hate the pick. It'll be a fun game to watch.
There's one game that I can't figure out, and you and I both love this team so much. They've been so good to us all year. And I just find the line a little too high for what I like. I mean, I think the books have adjusted on this team more than anyone else, and that's the BYU Lady Cougars.
Yep.
So you already knew I was going there.
100%. I knew exactly what you said.
So yeah, 11.5. Villanova has wins at UConn when they only had 6 players. So that's that. Most recently in the Big East Championship, they lost by 30. I think it was 70-40 was the final score. But UConn, I think right now is one of the best teams in the country. So in a neutral site, I don't see BYU having their typical dominant performance. I think they're going to win for sure, but I think it's closer to like 8-9.
I would totally agree. And from a metric standpoint, a lot of their advanced stats are similar. Neither team gets to the free throw line very often. Villanova relies on the three a little bit more. So if they can get a couple to go down early, I could see this game slowing down a little bit. I think, that 11 points is too much to take. I'll be cheering for them, of course, to get to the next round and see what kind of line we can get there, but I got to stay away from them, unfortunately. But it hurts because they've been so good to us, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fascinating matchup. Maddie Siegrist, one of the best players in the nation, Big East Player of the Year. Brianna Hurley is, I mean, she almost had a triple-double in the one of the games in the Big East tournament. Like,
Right.
She had I think it was a 19 and 17 game. She's everywhere. Very similar to how hard Paisley Harding plays for BYU. And of course, you got Shaylee Gonzalez, another Becky Hammond finalist. So it's going to be interesting. But so I think we're both in agreement. We're staying away.
I think so. Yep.
All right, great. All right, well, everybody, we're going to wrap up here. Be sure to follow both of us on Twitter. Follow Calvin on Twitter. He might release some more picks. Best day of the year, best weekend of the year. So excited to have fun with you guys.